Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crazy Kitsune Gaming with another episode of Stellaris, Console Edition to be specific. And I realize our borders look a bit like a heart right now, which is all well and good, but we are going to be getting a bit bigger. And we've immediately discovered playful ruins. Impressive structures litter a small area on the surface of Isius 4, practically begging for some archaeological work. Well, sure, it's only 180 days, that's fine. So then, are all our ships doing something? Oh, yes sir, yes they are. And speaking of ships doing something, our colony ship is now arriving on our second planet. Oh, it's a pretty looking little colony ship. It looks a bit like a space whale. Which is funny, because we've discovered space whales quite recently. Now, speaking of colonies, this one is about 75% done, I'd say.
Founding a new home.
Alright then. So we are now colonizing Sparking Light. Because I named it that because, well, we have a lot of generator districts we can build. And actual bonuses to our technician jobs, so yeah, that's why I decided to name it. Now then. See, earlier it was pretty obvious where we wanted to expand because of the weird spawn location. Pretty soon we're gonna branch out a bit more and things are gonna start getting complicated. Yeah, and of course, last episode we ran into this massive fleet of drones in here. And sadly, because we haven't surveyed it, and our station sensors aren't covering it because there are systems in between them and the system, then yeah, we actually can't see it. But we know that, yeah, it says there's only 1,000 in there, but we know it's actually 1,700. Okay then. So this is our first contact event with the space whales continuing. Weird heat blobs. Long-range scanners have picked up readings in the Eber-Mercambus system that could be best described as giant heat blobs. It's worth investigating. Make it so. There we go. That is not how the species looks down there, but okay. And we know they're perfectly neutral. Alright then. Oh, hello, space whales. You look like you're having fun out here. Oh, abandoned amusement park. The structures on Isius 4 are not as old as we first believed. It seems to be a playground or amusement park of some sort. Science Officer Stock of Brown notes that many of the contraptions are highly complex creations that we can learn much from, and that, to the builder's alien's eyes, this might have been a cutting-edge sensor array or even a giant art installation. Regardless, to us Fenzai, it looks mostly like a place where you would take your young and let them amuse themselves. Intriguing. So a load of society and engineering research.
System survey complete.
Now, fun fact, one of the reasons why it can be such a good idea to leave some of the events for later is not only because they can be quite big and take up a lot of your science ship's time, but they're also, the amount of technology points that they give scales with your overall research production. So right now we're at 103. If that was like 206, then we would have gotten basically, essentially nearly double the actual amount of resources we got. So that's why it can be a good idea to save those research events for later. Alright then. So now, because we have the Jundia system, we have sensors on this mining drone fleet. And we can see if they actually spawn an expansion fleet. Because the mining drones don't actually just spawn new fleets straight up. No, I believe how it works is as they continue mining out the resources over here, then they will slowly turn those resources into a new expansion fleet, which they will then move over into another system. It will then turn into a normal fleet and build them a mining station, and then they'll have that system as well. Alright, new tradition available. So then, we've taken all of the big helpful things, But these two are also quite nice. Galactic Ambition. The banner of our great empire will one day be as common as hydrogen throughout the galaxy. So starbase upkeep reduced by 20%. Now this also does count for your outpost as well. So right now this isn't a very helpful thing, but later on it's going to become very, very powerful to have. So now, whenever the month passes, we should find that our overall energy production is increased because the amount we're consuming with our stations and outposts gets a little bit lower. Or maybe not. Well, to be fair, we're actually not that big, and it's only about 20%. So, yeah, it will be helpful later. Expansion is great, guys. Stop saying it's not helpful. It is.
New
It
frontiers
is.
established.
Okay, we've finally established the Kitsua colony. Alright then. So, as you can see here, we have a planet production of 1, and a deficit of 1 energy and 1 consumer good. So, yeah. Also, keep in mind, when you first colonize the planet, it won't show any particular populations as growing. Once the month rolls over, then it will show that there is growth going on here. Now then, you actually start off with some jobs. Really bad jobs in particular. So you start off with the colonists. Now, you know, they look great, you know, they give amenities and, you know, defense armies and a tiny bit of food. In reality, these are basically the worst job in the game because they don't really do a good job of any of the particular resources they produce. If you had something like a clerk job, then those would produce, yeah, sure, only 2 amenities, but they still also give trade value, which turns to energy quite easily. If you had, you know, an agriculture district, yeah, they would be producing you 22 food, not 4. And if you, let's say, built something like a stronghold, that would be giving you 6 defense armies, and also naval capacity. So these colonists, they're like a jack of all trades. They're like a spork. You know, you can technically eat everything with them, but you're not actually good at eating anything. Now then, as I said, because this planet has a bit less habitability, then we have a bit more population upkeep and less resources from jobs and growth speed. So usually a population will eat exactly 1 food. But because this planet has lower habitability, they're eating up 1.2. So yeah, a little bit annoying with that. And also, I don't think our specialists are supposed to eat up that many consumer goods. Let's see. Yeah, Ourden hasn't built the Octathon Monument to reduce our upkeep. So how much do specialists usually cost us? Yeah, they usually only cost 4 consumer goods to keep up. So yeah, that is some of the annoying things about colonizing a new planet. So yeah, right now it's basically just a complete resource sink. But you really do want to build up more and more planets because later on, you're going to be very happy that you did it. Now then, what should we actually build first here? See, there is something that you want to do with later planets. I would not recommend doing them with your first 2 guaranteed habitable worlds. So Kitsua and Sparking Light, don't do this little thing that I'm going to suggest. But with some planets, especially ones like Sparking Light that have particular modifiers for certain resources, it can be very helpful to actually go ahead and specialize a planet into one particular resource. And that is because of another thing down here. So right now this planet is considered a colony. So it's getting more stabilities, amenities, and happiness along with automatic resettlement chance. Now, on your capital, you don't have anything like this. It will always be considered your empire capital, and give you more of those stability amenities governing ethics, attraction, and resources. But here on these little colonies, you can actually change their designation. Now, depending on how many jobs you have of a particular type, it will try to automatically change it, however it can be a bit unreliable. But as you can see here, we can actually change a lot of the designations here, like we can make it an urban world, which decreases the building and district upkeep, which is actually pretty powerful. It also increases your city district build speed by 25%, which is very helpful, and also plus 20% trade value, which is neat, but not a selling point. You can also have mining worlds, which kind of do the same things as the urban worlds, but it applies to miners. You also have the same things for your farmer and technician equivalents. There's also industrial worlds that you can use to basically decrease your artisan and metallurgist upkeep, basically meaning that they will consume less minerals. You can also specifically make them forge worlds to specialize them into more and more alloys, which is very good if you're trying to keep up a big military, which means we're probably gonna have to make a forge world at some point. You can also make a factory world, which is like a forge world, but it instead does it for consumer goods, which is very good since consumer goods are pretty much one of the most valuable resources out there. There are also refinery worlds. These are for the rare resources, we don't really need to worry about those yet. And also tech worlds. Kind of ish one of the best world types. There are different types of planets you can have that have a different version of the tech world that increases the raw tech output. But this will reduce researcher upkeep, which means you can save on some of those ever so valuable consumer goods. There's also fortress worlds. These are actually really good planets to have if only population growth wasn't so awful because of how Stellaris is these days. But hey, if you actually have a lot of population, and you have the system to run a game with a large amount of population, then go for having a fortress world, because you can plop these down on any planet on a choke point, and it becomes really, really hard for any enemy to get past, especially with some of the later technologies learned. You can also make a rule world, which basically is a pretty nice mix of all three of the raw resource productions. So yeah, mining worlds, you know, they give 25%. Each of these will give 25% bonus to their respective jobs. What a rural world does is make it so it is a overall worker population resource output increases by 10%, so everyone is getting a little bit of benefit, and you keep the extra district build speed of all three of those raw resource designations. So, your rural worlds are actually kind of underrated. You also can have unification centers, which increase your bureaucrat output and decrease their upkeep, which is nice, but I usually never have more than one of these out there. But we're not going to specialize this colony, because the problem with having specialized worlds is it means that if you lose one of those planets, like let's say you lost a massive mining world, then that likely means that entire section of your economy will go down in flames. So, your first two colonies and your capital, I would recommend keeping them fairly balanced. However, for now, I actually want to make a building down here. Yeah, the Ranger Lodge. So these are nice because, since we're environmentalists, we get unity from the naturally occurring blockers, which isn't very powerful on this planet because there's only 2, so that's only about 4 unity, but it also gives the special ranger jobs, and both of the ranger jobs combined will give us about 8 society research and 6 amenities. So, yeah, they're pretty nice to have around, and ranger jobs are considered worker jobs. So, yeah, they're kind of decent. However, because they're considered workers, this is another reason why the colonist job is very annoying. Then if you try to unemploy these colonists and make them not do their jobs, they will have to spend time demoting to be a worker. Which is a very annoying mechanic, like they just can't be happy being workers now. No, they just have to sit there and pout and be unemployed. So, yeah. Something to watch out for. So honestly, it may be better to just make a research lab first, because, you know, they are the best job. And it means that we can get those colonists out of their not-so-helpful jobs. So, okay, yeah, you know what? Research lab. Have fun, guys. We'll build the Ranger Lodge next time, and then we'll start getting our more raw resources dealt with. For now, let's already get a mining district in the queue, since you need the minerals from mining jobs to, you know, build every other building. Okay then, so we have our first colony complete. Good. And our borders are a bit bigger, so we don't look like a heart now. And we still look a little bit like a heart. Ish. Alright then. So you're harvesting the energy there? Why didn't I tell you to grab the physics research first? My brain is an enigma sometimes. I really couldn't tell you what's going on up in here. It is a confusing place to live. I honestly feel bad for all of the thoughts that enter my brain. Because if thoughts have feelings, then they are terrified. Speaking of thoughts, let's build another science ship. In fact, let's go for 2 extra science ships. I want an armada of these things out. Alright then. Ooh, Alafiri. Oh, it's a... What? What is this? What is this, Paradox? A size 11? Really? It's a desert world, so like... Okay, well, you know... Maybe later on we'll find a species that likes a desert world, but for now that's pretty unhelpful. What isn't unhelpful, of course, is hydroponics farming. Alright. So once we start getting star bases, then that will be very nice. Now then, we have some very interesting technologies here. So because we've colonized planets, then we've ran into the blockers. So now we can get technologies to get rid of those blockers. Now I will say, the way that you're probably playing right now, not that I can predict it, but I'm guessing not everyone has the Environmentalist Civic. So with that in mind, you usually want to research these technologies. However, because of how we are, they're basically mini Unity buildings that don't require population to upkeep other than that Ranger building, and we don't even have to do those Ranger jobs, just we need the building, that's all. So these are pretty useless for us, but when you're playing the game, they're probably going to be quite helpful. Now then, planetary unification. I think it's about time we grabbed you. Now these off-world trading companies are good, because it means that any trade hubs that you have on a starbase will actually make a bit of trade value themselves. Now because we only have one, then that's not the best thing right now, but later on it could be quite beneficial. But for now, we're finally going to grab that planetary unification. Since we'll be getting more monthly Unity, it'll give us a lump sum of Unity, which is very good because we're about to need 2 more scientists, so yeah. And it will unlock additional edicts that are considered the campaign edicts. Essentially what they can do is the 2 edicts will unlock mean that we can sacrifice a lump sum of energy every month and get more experience gain for our leaders, and also reduce our consumer goods upkeep. And, I mean, you know us, we're an environmentalist nation. We are all about reducing that consumer goods upkeep. That, and, you know, we're kind of tech rushy, so. Anyway, Jundius has been grabbed. What do I want to take next? Eneria. Because that's a habitable planet. Its size... What size are you again? A size 19. With 3 blockers and... Oh! It has rare planetary features. It has crystal forests, so that means that we can get rare crystals from here. And also Betherian fields. Now, Betherian fields are an incredibly rare thing to have. It essentially means that you can find this technology that means you can turn them into basically these giant generator districts. Except they take up a building slot instead. So, I mean, yeah. Yeah, we're definitely... Oh, yeah. Construction ship, what are you waiting for? Grab that. Oh, we have a new science ship. Hello there. Any scientists want to join us? No one who's better at being in a science ship, but oh well. Okay then, where do I even want to send you? Go and survey this section, because it looks like there may not actually be a way out if we were to come and grab this system. So it would mean we have another choke point, but we could grab this entire little section. Unless there's a alien nation down here, and for some reason I highly doubt that, and it would be nice to have this, Dark Hope's Nebula inside of our borders. So yeah, that's what you're doing. Now, we're about to have another science ship pretty soon, but sadly, we won't be able to use it because we don't have enough Unity. Don't worry, we are working on fixing that, because we do have these blockers here. We will turn them into these little Unity batteries very soon.
Survey complete.
Okay, first contact event pending. Oh wow, okay, that was fast. We literally, just discovered the Tianki. The spaceborne life forms, which the Free Head of Society research has come to refer to as Tianki, are docile creatures capable of accessing some lower dimension of subspace. They roam from system to system with remarkable ease. They graze on gases common to the upper layers of many gas giants. It is highly unlikely, to say the least, that that is their only food source, but intake of other nutrients has yet to be observed. They will rarely, if ever, attack when provoked. They can be safely ignored. So then, yeah, unlike the mining drone's first contact event, this one gives us something completely different. Instead, we will gain a research option, that being frequency tuning. Now this is, I'm pretty sure, a weapon of some sort. So mostly we're just interested in the extra influence.
They can talk, and they want to talk to us.
So then, what is that technology actually giving us? Either way, I'm not giving it up for the planetary unification. So then, this unlocks the energy siphon component. So essentially, it does a pretty small amount of damage, a 4-day cooldown, 75% accuracy, 40% tracking, a pretty short range, and only an average damage of 3. So supposedly what this does is it is supposed to... Yeah, you're not inviting me to a party, I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of recording right now, whoever you are. Essentially what this is supposed to technically do is drain energy from energy ships. It doesn't actually do that. It has a power usage of 10, and it doesn't actually steal the power sources from any enemy ships that it hits. It does do 100% more damage to shields, but also 75% less damage to armor, and just about everything in this game has armor. Like those mining drones that we found down here. You notice, kind of like our ships had in the Pulsar system, they don't have the blue health bar on top. They have the brown one, or the rust brown one at the top, representing their armor, and they also have the little green one on the bottom that represents their actual hull points, but no shields, and there are quite a few enemies out there like that. So, frequency tuning, kind of a disappointing technology. What isn't disappointing is a surface beacon. We are receiving a weak signal from the surface of this planet. The source appears to be some kind of tracking beacon. Okay then. Oh, and it's on a barren world, so likely this is just a extra little mineral deposit that we found out here. Probably. Not too sure. Alright then, Buckaroo, come down here and survey these systems. If you would be so kind. Okay then. So, yep, now we're colonizing Sparking Light. I'm not gonna... Ooh! Natural wormhole. We have detected what We have detected what appears to be a natural occurring subspace phenomena. And this on the edge of the Ennius system. A rift in the very fabric of space-time has formed here, creating a wormhole, quotation marks, that our scientists speculate may provide a conduit through subspace to another wormhole located somewhere else in our galaxy. Depending on where the second wormhole is located, this could potentially allow ships to travel from one end of the galaxy to the other in a matter of days. Unfortunately, this wormhole, like the vast majority of its kind, is inherently unstable, and any vessels foolish enough to pass through it would be ripped apart in seconds. Ooh, but if it could somehow be stabilized. So what exactly is going on over here with the wormhole? Okay, wow. So Ennius, yeah, it's right here. They crammed the wormhole right by the hyperlanes, which is very interesting, and these two hyperlanes are incredibly close to each other. Okay. Interesting. And also, what is this? Oh, I don't believe my eyes, an ocean world, size 17! It might have blockers, but size 17 is still pretty dang good. I like the sound of that. Okay. Alright then. We need more Unity. We need another scientist. Good god, 33 months for an extradition. Yeah, it's gotta be longer than that, because we're using a lot of Unity on scientists. Well, the good thing is this Octathon monument should help us deal with that, because that's gonna produce us... yeah, 17 Unity a month once these jobs are being done. So, it's not all doom and gloom yet. Alright. Now then, since we've colonized planets, then there's a mechanic known as both immigration and ermigration. So essentially what this means is a small chunk of this planet's population growth isn't going to this planet in particular, it's actually coming down to Kitsua. Because, yeah, as you can see, we're gaining a 1.43 immigration on this planet. And over here on our homeworld, we are getting a bit of the population growth leaving, and it's negative 1.43. So essentially that means that this tiny little chunk of the homeworld's population growth is instead coming down to our colony here. Oh, and I was right. We found an ancient survey marker. A small short-range transmitter has been located on the surface of Alfriri. It appears to be an ancient survey marker placed here eons ago to mark a large deposit of precious metals. The miners it was meant for evidently never arrived, as the deposit is still here. Okay then. So we'll look at that shortly, but complete. Yeah, I just want to get that out of the way real quick, is that yes, there are going to be a few populations moving from the homeworld to our colonies, in addition to the natural growth that's going on. And in fact, yeah, it actually gets a massive immigration pull for the first few years because it's a newly founded colony, which gives it plus 100. It's also getting an additional 14% because of high stability, and 4% because of the free housing. All one free housing that we have, and that's giving 4%. Okay, sure. Alright then, so, Trimus has been fully surveyed. So then, let's go down into this area then. Get this bit surveyed and see if there really aren't other hyperlanes. If not, that's great, because we can easily grab it all. Alright, Gagawa has finished surveying. So come down here into this little offshoot. Also, our construction ship isn't doing anything. Do something. Build a research station, most importantly. Alright, and that is another one of our science ships. This is the new one who's going over to survey the unknown systems. So, yeah, that one down there. Ooh! Interference. Ship sensors are picking up an unexplained pattern of interference in the Alfieri system. Alright, well, go ahead and research it. So, yep, there you go. And hey, look, there's the Tianqi fleet. Probably eating up gases from the gas giant. Well, have fun. Gas isn't really that tasty in my experience, but, you know, enjoy what you enjoy. Okay, then. So, what should we be doing next? Well, currently we're not doing anything on our capital. To be fair, I kind of want to save that last building slot for later to see what part of our economy starts hurting first, because I can always make our economy hurt. I am a master of that. But yes, we do have the Octathon Monument, which means we are, thankfully, finally, starting to get a bit more unity. In fact, we can actually get that other science ship working. Finally. Alright then. Sure, Spark of Genius. If we ever, whenever we get to the point of surveying the entire galaxy, then sure, you can go home and be a researcher of some type. You'll probably die of old age before that, but you know, hopes and dreams. They keep us going. Alright then. And of course, energy credits keep our economy going. So why don't you go and, find a sign of precursor activity. Okay, so that's 4 of them. But no, construction ship, you don't need to do that. You just need to build this energy station. So that means we have 4 of them? Yes, 4 of them. 2 left.
Research complete.
Ooh, research complete. So we've finally finished off that field modulation. Oh yeah, automated exploration protocols. Plus 25% survey speed. Well, that is, yeah, actually a big benefit because we have a lot of science ships going around. So, yeah. Go ahead and do that. Now, it used to be that this would actually unlock one of the features of the science ship, and I kind of wish they kept it this way. I'm not really a big fan of every Stellaris update they've come out with, especially with some of the more recent updates on the PC version of it. Oh god, they butchered the PC version of it. But automatic surveying. So what you can do is, of course, order the science ship to automatically survey the galaxy. Now, you should really only do this when you have like 10 plus science ships. We're not there yet. But it used to be that the automatic surveying technology that we just got, yeah, the automated exploration protocols, they would unlock the automatic surveying feature. For some reason, now you just get it automatically, which I'm not really the big fan of. What I am a big fan of is sonified science. The FFR Seeking Leaf crew has succeeded in isolating a signal embedded within the unusual pattern of interference in the Alfieri system. The signal is a song, a complex sonification of an advanced mathematical equation to be precise, and one that Science Officer Franz Red cannot seem to get out of their head. Who or what may have composed this song remains unknown, though its complexity infers an incredible level of technological sophistication regarding subspace harmonics. The signal's geodesics suggest a point of origin from outside our galaxy. Curious. So that's going to give us a lot of society and physics research. Well, that's very helpful. Good job, FFR Seeking Leaf. Promotions for you. Actually, did you get a promotion? Ooh, crystalline asteroids. The Unatara system is home to an unusually dense asteroid belt that is displaying some unique properties. Several of the large asteroids are covered in crystalline outcroppings that would suggest the presence of extremely rich mineral deposits. However, long-range sensors are tracking sporadic movement from what appears to be several small objects or possibly spacecraft in the denser regions of the belt. We are unable to get a fix on them, but debris from at least 2 destroyed mining stations seem to be floating in space next to some of the larger asteroids. Something isn't right. Alright. Oh yeah, this system. So this is one of the DLC systems, but it is still just a system, not actually like a Civic or Tradition. But yeah, I think I've seen this a couple times before. I think the asteroids will turn into stations and fleets at some point. I've seen it in other nations' borders. I've never actually gotten it in my borders itself. Wow, they are very crystally. And very purple. Actually, the system in general looks kind of purple. Yeah, even the sun is purple out here. Well, they definitely have good color choices then. Alright then, so now we've colonized Sparking Light. So, first thing I'm going to make is a Ranger Lodge, because that is going to be a lot of unity because of all these blockers here. Now, sadly, the Rangers count as worker jobs, so the colonists won't be able to do them very quickly, but it will immediately start giving us some unity, which we definitely need more of right now. And also, why don't you get a mining district down here? That would be quite nice. We are just not having enough minerals for much. Now, we could buy minerals from the market if we wanted to. We can even set up an automatic trade for it, but for now, I want to keep my economy balanced and not relying on anything else. Alright then. Oop, we've gotten our next mining technology just about done. Now, are all our science ships doing something? Yes, they are. Very good.
Anomaly found.
One of them has even found another sign of precursor activity. Oh my god. Difficulty hellish? I haven't seen that one in my entire life. What, 5,000 days? That's insane. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we're definitely getting to that at a later point.
System survey complete.
Oh my goodness, is it a max? I think it may be a max level anomaly. Yeah, it's a level 10 anomaly. Oh my god, that's bananas. I've never seen an anomaly that big before. And of course it's one of our precursor technologies. Well, precursor bits of research that we need to do. Okay then. So, a nice little lineup of choices we have here. So we have afterburners. So essentially they're a component that we can put on our ships that increase their speed and their evasion ability. And evasion is basically a stat that reduces how often they get hit. So yeah, afterburners are nice. We also have carrier operations, which will unlock the basic strikecraft component. Now, strikecraft are very interesting. However, sadly, we don't have anything that can make use of them other than our defense platforms. And right now, we don't have much of a need for those, but this is definitely an important technology to pick up once you start meeting and going to war with other nations. But for now, what we're going to go with is powered exoskeletons. Because right now, these are the most beneficial for our economy. It's 5% more minerals from jobs. So that's what we're going with. I promise once we start seeing other nations that can actually take us over, unlike the mining drones, we will start researching those proper military technologies. But for now, we just need to boost up our economy as much as we can. Now then, we have a science ship over here. Ooh! Isiwick. It has an alloy in it. I like the sound of that. Wow, it's such a boring looking system. But it has one of the most important resources, so, like, okay. It's another system of practicality, kind of like Runok and Cyrama. Also, speaking of systems, we're about ready to grab a new one. I'm gonna go for, I guess, Mizar. Is that the best one to grab? Because Rimok would be nice, getting those extra minerals and energy. But see, we're going to need Mizar no matter what, because we definitely want this system. So, yeah. We're going to go with Mizar, because it also gives us research. And research is really a lot more valuable than any amount of minerals or energy. In fact, we only want the minerals and energy because they are a tool to help us get more research, so... Alright then, how are things going down here? Because, yeah, we have an area. In fact, we need to get this planet colonizing. Yeah, there we go. Hi, Aniria. Where are your planetary features? Right, yeah, you have the crystals and Betherian fields. Yeah, we're definitely colonizing you. You're not very good on agriculture districts, though. Yeah, only a max of 3. That's fine, though. We have hydroponics bays. We'll get more stations eventually, so food isn't the most important resource out there. But yeah, here we can actually see Betherian fields. So, max Betherian power plant +1. Thousands upon thousands of valuable Betherian stones glint like stars in these fields. Alright then, I like the sound of that. So then, get that colony ship building. No, we're not calling it Aniria Prime, that's boring. Star Route, nah. Grain of Truth. Okay. You know what, that just sounds kind of funny. Sure, Grain of Truth. Sure. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Alright then, science ship in Akadin. 16 minerals, you're saying? Okay. There has to be a hyperlane in this section, certainly. It's really starting to look like there isn't, so we could just grab the Isius system, and then the Eber-Macromba system, and then just cut this all off from anyone being able to grab. Well, and whatever system is down here, and there could be a hyperlane there, but it's really not looking like it. Because you can actually see hyperlanes from a lot further away than the actual systems. So, it's really kind of telling me there are no hyperlanes down here. Okay, Aeneas is now completely surveyed, so there you go. Why don't you go and survey this system? Watch, we're gonna walk in here and we're gonna find aliens or something.
Complete.
With my luck. Hey, finally new traditions available. Okay then, so, courier network. A network of small courier vessels is a reliable alternative for transporting VIPs or delivering messages that can't be trusted to FTL communications. This will tie our far-flung colonies more closely together. So empire size from systems and colonies is reduced by 25%. That's good since, you know, the empire size system is easily the worst mechanic of this game. What isn't the worst mechanic of this game is ascension perks. So, once you complete an entire tradition tree, then of course you will get whatever bonus is at the end of it. So here its finisher's effect is adopting all expansion traditions will grant the following additional effects. Max districts on non-artificial planets only is +1. So yeah, that's good now. All of our planets have an extra district to use. That's amazing. And also, it's +1 Ascension perk unlocked, and that's how it is for every tradition you do. So, now we can look at Ascension perks. Now, a lot of these Ascension perks are from DLCs, like, for example, Lord of War is one of them that's from the DLCs, along with Become the Crisis, Enigmatic Engineering, Nihilistic Acquisition, quite a few of them, in fact, along with these engineered evolution and things like the Colossus project. However, what we can do is pick most of the other ones. Now, some of them do have specific requirements, like, for example, what is one of the ones here that we can go with? Yeah, Galactic Force Projection. Not a good Ascension perk, but for some reason they decide to make it necessary to grab 2 other Ascension perks first. There's also World Shaper, which requires specific technologies, and requires 1 other Ascension perk to be grabbed. There's also Grab the Void, which again requires one other Ascension perk. So yeah, a lot of these we can't go with because they're from DLCs, but we can grab immediately any of these ones up here that isn't Lord of War, since it's one of the DLC ones here. So the first one that I usually go with is Technological Ascendancy. So, technologies that would have been indistinguishable from magic mere generations ago are now within our reach. A new age of technology has begun. So its effects are plus 10% research speed, which is very, very powerful, and rare technologies now appear at 1.5 times the normal rate. This effect would change a 1% chance into a 1.5% chance. So really what we wanted is the extra research speed, because technology is the most important thing in the game. It's what makes the game fun, it's what, makes you more powerful, it makes your numbers go up. Tech is a very good thing, it's basically the lifeblood of Stellaris. There's really no point to ever deny it or try to harm it. So yes, Technological Ascendancy. Now, there are other good choices here. Imperial Prerogative reduces your empire size from planets, which is great because we're about to find that the empire size system these days really sucks. So anything that can help us fight back against it is pretty dang good. There's also Mastery of Nature. Now, it reduces your clear blocker cost by about a third, 33%. That's completely useless for an environmentalist nation. But it also means that you get a decision that permanently increases the maximum number of districts a planet can support by 2. It sadly can only be performed once on each planet, but it is very useful. Now sadly, it's a very late game thing to go with, because it costs you influence to actually enact the planetary decision. So, yeah, it's nice, but if you're not playing a super long-term game like we're not, since I'm probably gonna end this series once we take out all 3 of the crises that are coming. But if you're planning to play well past that, and you're not playing a nation that's going to be conquering ever, so if you're stuck in the horrible hell that's playing a pacifist nation, then yeah, this can be pretty nice to go with. There's also things like one vision that give you more monthly unity, along with extra governing ethics attraction, which later on will result in even more unity. So it means that you can grab future Ascension perks even quicker. It also reduces your population amenities usage by 10%, which just means that they're going to be more happy in general, since now they're eating up less and less amenities. There's also things like Executive Vigor, Transcendent Learning, and Shared Destiny, which are all very helpful, but not really things that are particularly great right now. So, we're going to be doing Technological Ascendancy. There we go. Perfect. So then, now we'll just, once we get enough unity, we'll start going down another tradition tree. Also, even more important than that, we've learned planetary unification, which is probably why suddenly we were able to grab that next tradition and the Ascension perk. Ooh, okay. So, genome mapping. Pop growth speed plus 10%. Alright, we're gonna learn how to shag even faster. I love the sound of that. Alright then. Do we want another science ship? I mean, yeah. We're gonna have to finish out this colony ship, but yeah, get a science ship in the queue. We need more of those. Oop, we have a planet here. It's a tundra world, but okay. Not particularly helpful for us, but it is size 18, and you never know, it could have a lot of blockers. Because the negatives for actually colonizing a planet with low habitability is less resources from jobs. Well, our ranger lodges and the unity that we get from them and the blockers don't count as jobs, is the thing. Okay then, so this planet is starting to get more things down. So, deprioritize one of those colonist jobs. So yeah, we're still fine on amenities. Deprioritize the other one. We're still fine on amenities, and now we're getting more research. Perfect. Now what we're going to need is a city district. Just get that
Anomaly
worked on
found.
straight away. Uh-oh. I accidentally pressed B right as we had an anomaly get discovered. Good thing is you can just come down to this notification and, yeah, get them researching it. Heated rhythm. Sensors pick up rhythmic movement on the hellish surface of Julfet 1. Okay. Hey there, Julfet system. You are, wow, super busy looking. I mean, I'm sorry to get in the middle of your affairs. You look like you're a very busy system.
Anomaly found.
Oh my. Ooh. Gas giant ship. The sensor profile of a mid-sized vessel was briefly detected inside the upper atmosphere of this gas giant. Alright, well, research it then. Because I'm pretty sure that event has a chance to either give you some experience for your scientist, engineering research, or you could gain a new ship for your nation to use, which, yeah, we wouldn't mind having another ship to have. Especially since we're using all of our alloys on science ships, and fairly soon some stations. So, yeah, we could definitely use another ship.
System survey complete.
Ooh, wow. Oh my god. There it is. That's the mineral record. I have never seen more minerals in a system. I think I'm just gonna take a picture of that. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is just, oh my goodness. I mean, that's just special. Yeah, I know I need to delete some of my captures eventually. But wow. Oh yeah, okay, it's this system, though. One with, I think, the potentially angry asteroids. Oh, okay, so we're probably gonna get smashed if we try to build any of these, mining stations, but that's beautiful. 34 minerals, that beats out our miner jobs. Now, I think it would cost us more minerals to actually build all of these than a mining district, but it makes more minerals as well. Okay then.
Construction complete.
Come down, survey this system. Then when he's done with Toe-Eyes, we'll have him survey that system, and then we'll see if we can actually completely block this out. I think we actually can. Alright then, Mizar is done. Go ahead and start building your research station. Ooh, geothermal. The measured pounding observed from orbit in... The measured pounding observed from the orbit is the motion of immense and ancient geothermal extractors breathing their last. Built and then abandoned at some point in the distant past, the vast batteries of disintegrating machinery have been pumping up superheated fluids from the planet's core ever since. Their storage capacitors are all broken or leaking, but some energy can still be siphoned from them. Wow, so we just had 1,741 energy credits just ejected into our economy. And now Julfet 1 will have 3 engineering research. Okay, well this is already a good system. Heck, it's even almost as good as Mizar. And it could be even better, you never know. Wow, these are some... Ooh, hello. The FFR Floating Leaf has discovered a previously unknown strategic resource on XR-7-328. Dubbed volatile motes, these some-word particles contain a tremendous amount of energy, which could be exploited in energy production as fuel or even as explosives. While we do not yet possess the means to extract this resource, we should seriously consider establishing control over the system for future exploitation. So then, we have discovered volatile motes. So these are one of the rare resources I was talking about earlier. They are in my opinion, the least valuable rare resource, but they are a rare resource nonetheless. They can be used. It is one of their few rare use cases, is using them in the higher level strongholds, because you can get technology. Let's get a city district going down here since we just got +1 districts. You can gain a technology to make your strongholds a bit bigger, but they then also require some volatile moat upkeep. So that is one of the few use cases for these volatile moats. Oh, and they're in this system. This system is just gonna be great, isn't it? It's got research, energy, more energy, a rare resource. I mean, yeah, this system's already looking great. Uh-oh. The campaigning to elect a new chief is underway. The result will be announced at 2,000 and 2,210. Okay, so in like 4 months. So then, this is a very special thing with democratic governments, and have we done our alloy metallurgy? Yes. We wanted our alloy surplus to be at least 12 per month, and we have done that. So our reward at the end of the term will be 6 months worth of unity with a max of 1,000. I really wish they would get rid of the max to make democratic governments a bit better, because they're, at least in my opinion, the weakest. However, they do add the new and exciting elections. So essentially, what's going to happen is after these 90 days are done, then each candidate will enter the election with a mandate and the backing of a specific faction. Now, we don't have factions yet, but we will eventually. They will be seeking voter support, and on election day, all pops who may vote do so, and the winner is elected chief. So essentially what it's showing here is each of these leaders has a even chance to win the election. Now, these leaders can come from anywhere. Like, for example, our governor here is deciding to run for chief. Now, they do have good traits. Explorer would be nice right now, reducing our science ship build cost and increasing anomaly research speed, and they also have investor. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with our current leader. Yeah, they're charismatic, which isn't super helpful right now since we don't have any interesting edicts to use. But they're also reformer, giving us more unity, although the election itself will give us a chunk of unity. Now, if you want, you can actually decide to support one of the candidates by spending up 500 points of unity. Now, I'm not going to do that because that would kind of defeat the purpose of being a democracy in Stellaris, but yeah, it is something you can do. It would be nice to keep Zenko as the chief for a little while longer, but honestly, any of these guys will do. Architectural sense is pretty nice to have, and we would be keeping charismatic. Stock of Brown would be great because we would get home in the sky, meaning we can build new starbases cheaper, and they're a space miner. Honestly, the worst one would be Petals of Blue, and 10% trade value isn't actually that bad, so you know what, people? Vote however you want. In 90 days, we'll see what the folks decide. Alright then, so we've done everything in Mizar. So what do I want to grab next? There's so many choices now. I guess go and grab Isius, since that's leading us, or when you have the influence, grab Isius, since that is a sort of stopgap for a lot of interesting systems, because we can grab Isuik and Julafet by grabbing this system, then Gagawa, and yeah, then these systems will be right here for us to grab. So, yeah. Now you have the influence, go ahead and do it. Alright, how are the elections doing? Still 25% for each of them. It's really anyone's game at this point. But we have done our alloy metallurgy. I hope people don't ask to have lots of consumer goods for the next mandate. That would be disastrous. Okay, ruler elected. A new ruler has been elected. Chief Stock of Brown will rule until the next election, which will take place at, yeah, that date. So then, new ruler mandate. Stock of Brown has been elected as chief of the Free Fenzo Republic. Consult the situation log for details on their mandate. Okay then. And yep, economics mandate fulfilled. As per our chief's mandate, our resource production has improved. Alright then. So that is nearly 500 Unity, because it scales with your actual Unity production. So then, that's pretty nice. So the new ruler is Stock of Brown. Okay, honestly, that's the best person I could have hoped for, because yep, that home in the sky is going to be useful pretty soon, and Space Miner is going to be a boon for our economy. So then, now they were previously scientists on the FFR floating leaf. So yeah, we're going to need to find them. It was, yes, this science ship. So we'll go ahead and grab a new leader. Oh yeah, Eager! So this is a nice little trait. So leader cost for the initial hiring is 50% cheaper. So that is absolutely amazing right now, considering how many scientists we have. That's just spiking up the cost. Another nice little benefit is their leader upkeep is going to be only 1 Unity. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and get you in. Now start researching the anomalies. Now, that does kind of suck though, because we were probably a good way through that anomaly, but because then the person researching it got elected as the chief, then yeah, it resets the progress on the anomaly. Slightly annoying. Now then, we should look at our leader pool. Okay, Zenko, so they've become an admiral. Which, funnily enough, happened the first time I played. So, yeah. So when they were leading as the chief, you know, they were charismatic and gave us a bit more, edict fund. As an admiral, they have the unyielding trait. So, ship hull points plus 10%, ship weapons damage plus 5%, and 33% less combat disengagement chance. Which is good because usually quite a few of your ships would try to run out before the fight is actually over. This will prevent some of that. Okay then, so yeah. So the old president, well, the old chief is still a leader here, but now they're just a admiral. So they can still be re-elected again at some point. Although, honestly, with how many scientists we have, that's... yeah. Good luck with that, Zenko. I really hope that maybe you become president again at some point, but, you're already, like, 56 years old. That's super elderly for our species. So, yeah. Honestly, that's been a fun and thrilling episode so far, but I think I'm gonna call it a day. It's good to know that we're gonna be going into next episode with even better research speed. That's absolutely wonderful. And, oh, AI-controlled colony ships. So this jacks up that colony development speed that we were dealing with earlier. But I think we're gonna be going with fusion power, since I think this will... yeah, leads us to further advancements in several different fields. So it means we have a chance to roll more, of the energy generation technologies that we've been researching. So yeah, let's go with that. But anyway, I think that's where I'm going to call it an episode for the day. Honestly, it's actually been pretty fun recording this so far. I hope it's been fun for you to watch, and that you've learned quite a bit from all of this. And now our borders don't look like a heart, they look like a frog's hand. We're just morphing into different things every day. Well, in any case, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Consider liking and subscribing, and maybe sharing the video with some of your friends so that they can see what we morph into next episode. Until then, have a good day.